So I'm going to share with you guys the cheapest way I found to get 4 new tires mounted, balanced, and clean up your wheels. And as you can see, this is my wife's CRV. They definitely need the attention. Tires are dry rotted, the wheels look rough, and you can get a better look there how the vehicle looks from the side. The tires I actually found on walmart.com. So the complete set was $330 shipped with taxes and handling. I'm not familiar with the brand, but the tires look pretty good. They had a lot of good reviews. And you can see there 225, 65, 17 is the size, and they look pretty good. Those I believe came with a 50,000 mile warranty, so we'll try them out, especially for that price. So I also want to state, obviously I have access to a tire changing machine. If you don't, later in the video I'll give you a few tips on how you can. It really isn't that hard, especially if you're involved in the car community in your local area. But first you want to start off with taking out the valve cores, and then once the air is out, obviously you want to break the bead. So you want to break the tire from the wheel, and that's what this machine does. And you do want to be careful, especially if you have a TPMS sensor. You don't want to break the bead right over the sensor, it will break it. You just want to be mindful of that, and you want to do the same on the other side. So once the bead is broken, you could put the tire on top of the machine, clamp it. That's what the middle pedal does, and just make sure the bead is completely loose off the wheel. If you have a clamping style weight, you want to take that off just so it doesn't get caught on the machine when it rotates. And there's the arm that it could get caught on. And another tip, especially if you have a TPMS sensor, you want to mount it right there, right in front of it. So when you hook it with your bar, it goes completely over the sensor, so you don't have to worry about it damaging it. And this machine is a little old, so I do need to give it a little help to turn, but I'm not complaining because I don't have to pay anyone to unmount the tire. And you want to do the same for the bottom side. Just be careful with that TPMS sensor. I needed 2 hands there, so I had to do a little cut. And like I said, the machine's a little old, but can't complain. I don't have to pay someone to do this. So with the old tire off, kind of toss it to the side. And here you have access to the actual sensor. So that's what you want to be careful of when you're taking the tire off. So here I have the wheel completely separate from the tire, and as you can see, it's not too bad, but you can see a few scuff marks on there. So what I'm going to do is just wet sand it a little bit, nothing aggressive with the sandpaper. I believe here I used the 600 grit, so just something to put little micro scratches into the wheel. That way when I paint it, it has something to bite onto. So as you can see there, I'm not getting too fancy with it. And once I rinse it off, you just blow everything completely off, make sure there's no debris on there. And that way when you paint it, you're not painting over dirt. But as you can see there, I'm just going to do the front side. You could get really detailed and do the back, but in my case, it's a beater car, it's a daily driver. I just want the front to look nice. And one final pass with some brake cleaner on a rag, just to make sure there's no sand or dirt when I paint it. And this is the paint I got from AutoZone. I actually really like this paint. It almost matches the wheel perfectly, and it does have that little bit of a silver look to it. So I'm gonna do a few passes. My wife's pretty good about curbs, but just in case I want a few extra millimeters of protection, so I'm definitely gonna give it a few passes. And as you can see there, it's coating pretty good. This paint is actually really thick, so this is what I like to use for wheels, especially on steel wheels like this. And you can see with one pass it's already looking a lot better. And this is what it looks after one pass, and just a quick comparison to a wheel we haven't taken off yet. So as you can see, big difference already just with one pass. So these are the wheels on the driver's side. As you can see, they were a lot worse off. And I did do a little bit of sanding just to get it a little smoother from the rock chips. Nothing too bad, but the paint completely took care of everything. So as you can see there, it goes on real thick. It pretty much hid any kind of scratches and rock chips that were on the wheel. So I really like that paint. And while we wait for the paint to dry, I'm going to go ahead and polish these center caps. And finally, it's time to mount the tire. So these tires have these dots on them. You kind of want to match these to the valve. That's what they say, at least, to get it balanced. I used a spray of soapy water to kind of lube up the bead of the tire, let it slide onto the rim a lot easier. And once you sprayed it, you kind of want the bottom end of the tire underneath that right side of the arm and the left side of the tire above it, and just spin it and it'll pop right on. And just like with when you take it off, you want to do it in reverse. And so we're going to go ahead and spray some soapy water on the front as well. So this machine does have 2 arms. It does have the arm and the roller. If you don't have that luxury when you borrow a machine, you really just need 1 arm, or you could even just put some pressure on, like just pressing down on the tire there where I have the arm, and that usually does the job. As you can see there, I'm putting a little pressure and rotating the tire, and just like that. So obviously I have to give it a little hand. It's an old machine, but there, tire's mounted, and it was that simple. And next, it's just inflate the tire. Sometimes you have to give it a little help if the tires are a little narrow, just the way they're stacked in storage, they kind of hold their form. But usually they inflate pretty easily, especially if you get the correct size for the wheel. And don't get scared, you're gonna hear 2 pops when the beads pop. It's good to go. And this is just one of the reasons why I like to use the soapy water to lube up the tire. Any kind of air leaks will show themselves pretty quickly. And here you can see there's some debris caught between the wheel and the tire. Obviously I know the wheels are pretty old, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hit that with the wire brush. As you can see there, I marked it on the tire with a yellow chalk, and I went ahead and cleaned it up. Just clean it up with a rag, make sure there's no more dirt and debris there, and from there you just re-inflate it and there's no more leaks. So that's another benefit of using the soapy water. I really like using that because if there are leaks, they show themselves pretty quickly. And same thing here, I just helped the tire up a little bit since it was pressed down. I didn't want to go back up, didn't want to hold its form, but it inflates pretty quickly. So next I'm going to balance the wheels. Every balance machine is a little bit different, but they all kind of go by the same rules. You want to get the correct size cone that fits inside the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and mount the wheel to the arm and just slide that cone back in. And I'm going to use this handle to thread it all the way in, make sure it's nice and snug, and make sure the wheel sits on the center of that cone. And make sure it's nice and snug there. And from there you just need to take your measurements. I'm gonna just do a static balance, so just 1 weight on the inside, because I don't want to put a weight on a freshly painted surface. If I do find that I need to balance them again, I just will. But for now I'm just going to do a static balance. So I'm going to take the measurements using this. This measures how wide the wheel is, and the width of this wheel, you can see these are the measuring points, is 6.5. So I'm going to go ahead and enter that into the machine. And I probably should have known that before, but I just wanted to be sure. So 6.5 inch wide wheel, and then take the measurement of the inboard. And as you can see there, the machine reads it. So all that's left to do is drop the hood, and the machine does all the work. While it's on the machine, it's a good time to check to see if the wheel is bent. If it's bent, it will show itself pretty easily. As you can see there, it's asking for 1.5 ounces. And as you rotate the tire, the machine will tell me where to mount it. So right where it's green. And you'll notice an arrow there on the machine where it's green. That's at the very top. That's where it wants the weight. So I'm going to go ahead and tap that weight in. Use a clamping style, make sure it's secure. Drop the hood and let the machine do all the work. And if you get it right, it'll say 0. This wheel is completely balanced. As you can see, there's a 1.5 ounce weight. Nice and secure. So all that's left is to take off the wheel from the machine and put it on the car. So you want to hand tight the lug nuts. I know I'm missing one. That stud is stripped, so something I'm gonna have to fix later on. But yeah, you want to hand tighten them first. You don't want to hit them with an impact right away, and you want to tighten them in a crisscross pattern. And then of course you just want to make sure they're all nice and tight before you lower the car. You want to remove the jack stand. I always recommend using one just in case the jack fails. And it's ready to lower. And as you could see, it looks so much better already. And like I said earlier, it might be a lot easier than you guys think to borrow these machines, especially if you're involved in your car community. You probably know someone or know someone who has these machines. And it might be as easy as just offering them a 6-pack and 30 minutes of their time, or sliding them a $20 bill. And it would end up saving you a lot of money. I would definitely recommend it.